The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
If you're planning on buying or selling a home, the Real Estate Crew's got news for you at the Real Estate House Party.
With attorney Rick Carter,
Real Estate House Party.
paralegal Kathy Holtshouser,
Real Estate House Party. Come in, have fun.
and comedian Tony V. Now, here's real estate attorney Rick Carter.
Welcome and thanks for joining us today on Real Estate House Party. What are you laughing about already?
I don't know. I think they feel like they've changed the beginning.
I know. It's a little...
Attorney Rick Carter.
I think it was because we were goofing on Tony V got the big introduction last time.
Oh, right.
He got the delay in the introduction. So we have Poppy T. Lovin here.
Yes.
We got Cool KJ, paralegal extraordinaire, and we got the Iceman.
Nice.
Just in time for summer.
Thanks for coming,
Right.
Mr. Iceman.
This is the hip-hop version of Real Estate House Party. Waka, waka, waka.
Absolutely. This is the Johnny Peasy look.
Yeah.
I can't. Where is Johnny Peasy? There he is.
There he is right there. Right.
Oh, and my nickname's Rick.
Yeah.
No, John wore that shirt.
I like it.
Rick. John wore that shirt so we'd recognize him
I
today.
couldn't find him anywhere.
Superman.
I want to be a beacon.
You're a
You are
you're
a
a beacon
beacon,
of
all
knowledge.
right.
That's what you are. We couldn't find you going through the studio audience, but then we said, "This is John Marroni. There's South."
And not to confuse our viewing public anymore, but some people might be looking at me going, "Why is George Lucas all upset?"
You know what?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you see it
you're
now.
right.
Yeah, you
You're
see
right.
it now.
You're
Yeah.
Funny. Well, John Marroni. I'm sorry.
No.
John
no.
Marroni's knocking it out of the park.
He is. He's very busy.
We're very impressed, and we're happy, and we're all busy.
What's
and
going on?
he has
Well,
great
first,
borrowers.
I'd like to thank God.
Us too.
Real estate mogul that he is. You know, he owns the whole thing.
I hear he created it.
Yeah.
After closings, you're like the baseball players.
He
You
was
point
the-
to the skies, right? Yep.
He's the best excavator known.
Oh boy.
John's just surprised because usually it's about 10, 15 minutes in, and then we start asking him questions. John looked a little surprised to get the call right off the bat, huh?
Yeah, I got something I want to share with you.
Oh.
Funniest story.
I didn't like the way that came out. I got something I want to share with you.
You've been sharing enough
Go
lately
ahead.
of yourself. Go ahead.
So it was like a couple years ago. I was on a lake, my family, what have you, and they had a sunfish sailboat, and I'm like, I'm going to go try this. And I knew it wasn't really quite set up properly, but I was just being impulsive. I said, I'm just going to just go out in the lake anyways.
What could go wrong?
Exactly.
Sure.
And, I had it under control, but the people in the shore didn't think I was under control.
It was a perception problem.
That's right. And I was good. And then, so one of the girls, she was a college girl, and she decided she wanted to help me out. I'm like, fine. I just kind of rolled with it. And next thing you know, she's like towing me in. And it was all funny.
Impulsive youth.
So I thought nothing of it. People got to laugh. And I said, whatever. The other day, I learned that she got an A+ on her college paper, and that was the subject she wrote on.
She about rescuing you?
Yeah. I'm like, I'm glad I could help with material for you.
Just about this time last year, I was in Kwajalein, the South
Marshall
Pacific,
Islands.
the Marshall Islands.
Yep.
We were doing a gig over there, and they talked me into going on a boat, with a guy who's like boat savvy. I get boats all the time. Cut to half hour later, we're reefed. We're on a rock, stuck. And I know less about boating than I do about real estate. Okay, let's just put that in perspective. And at one point we had to have another. They couldn't even tow us off of this thing. People were actually pushing the boat. We're in the water pushing the boat, and I'm useless. So I go to the guy. I go, "Hey, is there anything I should be doing?" And he goes, "No, we just got to wait for this." I go, "Good. I'll be taking a nap until you need me." And I went out for 20 minutes, and then the tide came in, and it took care of itself.
Nice.
And you thought Atoll was a little island.
Yeah.
Oh, a toe.
You have no problem falling asleep on a shipwrecked little boat
It bothered me one little bit.
with the tow coming in.
Yeah, no, it didn't.
Okay.
Listen,
All right.
when you got a nap, you got a nap,
Yeah,
brother.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think we all have nightmare boating.
Yes,
I'm not going to
yes.
share
You're not a
mine
big
this
boat-
week. No.
No, go ahead. You got
Well, we were stuck out in like Casco Bay,
Yeah.
Maine, with no wind and no motor.
Yeah.
Because we left the lights on all night.
Any paddles?
We had no paddles.
Wow.
And we had to be at an anniversary party. It didn't go well.
That's not good.
So we flagged down a boat that says, "Oh, you guys need a tow." And we said, "Yes, we do." And they're towing us, and all of a sudden they break down.
Of course.
So then another boat comes by, and they're like, "You guys okay?" We're like, "No, we gotta get to an anniversary party," and they towed us and not the people that broke down. I still feel kind of bad about
Wait,
it.
you left the people that came
Yeah,
to get you
yes,
out there?
yes,
That's my
yes,
girl.
yes.
There you go.
So
And you made your anniversary party, right?
barely. Then there was a massive car accident, and there was nothing going
was
right.
a good
Talk
day.
about a black cloud following
I
you for a
know.
little while.
So I'm never going on a boat with Frank Kelly ever again. So
There you go, Frank Kelly. So, John Marroni, you on a roll?
Yeah, but
You're busy.
I have a question for
Okay.
Tony.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Shoot.
Because I know you've been all over the world, and this
Yes.
is important. So, like, when I talk to different clients, I kind of mirror them, whether it's on the phone, if I know someone's talking fat, so on and so forth. And I,
There's
back...
actually psychology behind
yeah,
it.
There is.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, you love
And
this.
Louis Prima used to do that, too. He would look out in the crowd. If he didn't like him, he would just shut the curtain, and then he'd put the curtain back up. And if they started, getting lively, then he'd go. So for you,
Yeah.
you must read a crowd. So, like, what are your thoughts? Like, how long does it take you to figure out, all right, this is what I got?
I hate them, or I love them.
It takes me about 30 seconds to a minute to size up a crowd.
Okay.
Now, you know what I mean? It used to take a little bit longer, but I can tell within the first minute. And I actually, the first couple of minutes of my act is designed to do that, to see in my head I can know how far I can take a
And
crowd.
then you go,
or if I hate them.
Then you go, what about the bunch of bleep and bleep bleeps?
Right, right. Yeah, it happens
you guys,
all the
you guys
time.
don't think this is funny stuff?
Yeah, no. I go, that's funny. The other 100 crowds before you thought this was hysterical.
The real estate brokers love you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's like family now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
How
I mean,
about-
sometimes. Well, you were at that show down at. In
It was one of my
Quincy.
favorite shows of all time.
Yeah, awful, just awful people.
Really?
They were awful.
What
awful.
happened?
They wouldn't listen. They weren't giving
It was
up.
horrible. The way they set it up, the tables were too far away. It wasn't like an intimate.
Okay,
it was
yeah.
just
That must
Right.
feel so awkward
Oh,
to you.
it can. I mean, it can, and you're doing your best. And I'll never quit. I mean, I
of
won't.
course not.
You're
I
like-
will-
I won't quit on a crowd.
for 40 minutes,
Oh yeah,
right?
And you got to do your time, or you don't get paid.
Yeah.
And I'll talk for 40 minutes.
That was actually the
to
funniest
myself.
night. It almost the start of some of these radio shows because we went out afterwards.
With
you,
your buddy
me,
George,
with
yeah.
George,
Yeah.
and you had someone else out there. And
Yeah.
we were doing
We're doing
jokes.
street jokes.
We're
Yeah,
you're doing.
the funniest, some of the funniest stuff ever. Yeah.
I'd love to
Yeah.
do some of
But
the
that
punchlines.
that was the night I ended with. Well, you've been a crowd.
No question in that.
Yeah.
It was the funniest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. That
Tony,
was
that
good.
must feel yucky.
It
No, it doesn't
Yeah.
phase you though.
No, I mean now. I can tell when it's me, and I can tell when it's the crowd. And if it's me, I'll feel a little bit bad.
What's
But if
the
it's
worst?
crowd-
How can it be you?
Oh, I've had awful shows. I mean, in my
I've
past.
never
What's the
seen
worst
an awful
person you've
show.
had in the shows?
Oh, I've had people walk out on me. I mean, I've had people.
Tell the people
in a
tell
huff.
about the Manchester one.
Oh, this is a good one.
The-
The lady with the shawl.
And said to the husband.
Manchester by the Sea.
Yes,
Yeah.
Sorry.
That was when we had gotten through that show. I mean,
Absolutely.
I only had 3 minutes left. You know what I mean? I was literally just wrapping up, and this woman got up in a huff and a half, I'm guessing, and she threw her sweater or shawl over her thing and made a big point out of leaving. And as she's walking out, I go, "Hey, you forgot your husband." The guy was digging it and laughing the whole time. I go, "Hey, you forgot your husband." And she goes, "He'll be right along." And the guy just goes, "No, I won't." And
What was she mad about?
I know what it was. You were referencing the shawls that they were wearing in Manchester.
No, the sweaters around the neck.
The sweaters around the neck.
And I said how easy it would be to strangle you all. Because they just wear the sweater as an accompaniment.
Oh,
And they
yeah,
just
like-
put it,
Right,
and they
right,
just put it and tie tie it very
Right.
loosely around the
Right.
arms,
Yeah.
and they go, "You're just, just ripe for choking."
Right. The people from Reading, we wear sweaters to keep us warm.
Yeah, if you're cold, you put a
You're
sweater
right,
on.
exactly,
Right,
exactly.
right.
But you're right. It was an ornament.
It was a style.
It was a
at
statement.
One
Yeah,
point.
Yeah.
I love that line though. He'll be right with me. No, I won't.
No, I won't. Oh boy, you're gonna catch hell later, brother.
Last comedy show she's been to. So you've seen some of that. I guess we're sidetracked a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm shocked by this, but we always talk about bad buyers we've had or bad, clients we've had. But you can actually identify some that have harassed you.
Oh, I was just telling this story to somebody the other day. We were doing a show down in New Seabury, very
Down the Cape.
posh
Yeah.
golf course
area,
where people live on it and everything. And it was a booked show for the people that lived in the vicinity. And the first guy went on and just ate it like you read about.
Yep,
I mean, nothing. You know what I mean? And then I went on, and it got a little bit better. I had to take the deficit he was in and then build on it. And then it got better. And then I had to go to another gig. I was actually going over to the Melody tent to open for the Beach Boys.
Nice.
that's
From there.
awesome.
Right.
Did you get to sing?
It was great. I've sang with the Beach Boys. Not
Really?
that night, but I have.
How many people can say that?
I know. I think that's great.
And as I'm walking out, this woman very indignantly is talking to one of the bar staff who has no power whatsoever.
Yeah.
She goes, I don't understand it. First there was one of them, then there was a second one, now there's a third one. we had crawled out of the woodwork.
You're cloning.
Right. How long is this gonna go on? These vile people.
You're at a comedy show.
Yeah. I don't know what
That's
they thought they
funny.
were walking.
I was at one of the fundraisers for Kevin Knox once, and the people in front of me said, "Geez, I just don't like comedy shows." All right, you're in the wrong spot then.
Look at your ticket.
I'd have people go, I don't like music. Have you ever heard that? People go, I don't like music. All of it? There's not a thing.
I thought we resolved that with Footloose.
I don't get it. So.
Johnny, what problem areas have you had?
Well, hold on.
Oh, no,
one
I'm sorry.
second.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know we were sticking to the script.
No, well,
12 minutes in, why would it?
Right. John Marroni says that there's 105
Oh, well, that's right. Go
things
ahead. We should get through those.
that could go wrong between application and closing.
That was actually
105?
that's all I came up with. I almost wasn't going to come here because I thought you were going to cancel the show because it was too hot outside.
But,
That's a thing.
So, but what my point
Sounds
is,
like one of our
John's-
seminars we've had.
Yeah.
Oh,
Are
did
we-
I interrupt? She hates when I interrupt when she's interrupting me.
Sure.
I'm trying to
Go ahead. You're reeling us back in.
Reel you guys all back in because that's my job, right?
Right,
your
yeah,
job.
yeah.
That's in my
Yeah,
contract.
Yeah.
We're on a sunfish, and she's coming about.
Yep. I'm pulling it in, right? I know how to say
You
all
didn't
that.
bring your notes today, so
I know.
don't
I have John's notes.
All right.
105.
We're getting through 2.5 of them.
Hold
if you
on.
want to start now.
100
My
105.
point is 105 things that could go wrong
Yeah.
between application and closing. Clearly, John's doing something right.
Because they never go wrong with John Marroni.
No,
This is
because
the
everything's
S-man.
going along pretty smoothly
Right,
the
right.
last couple of months, right?
You must have a good closing attorney team that helps you out.
Well, I was just going to say that
Absolutely.
Carter Law Office is holding up their end of the deal.
We're holding
and
up our end.
We already have one of our files for Friday all done. Everyone has their figures, and
I know, isn't that boring?
it's no.
Until somebody calls
I
on
like
Thursday.
No, they're not going to
And
call
make a
on
change.
And
Thursday.
make a change.
No one's making any changes on my dime.
Yeah, no.
Johnny, should we have
Yeah.
Tony V start doing some of our closings?
Oh, God, yeah.
I quit my job and bought an island.
Yeah.
So let's. How many do you think we can get through real quick?
Just pick randomly. We're not going to get through them.
Just, randomly. There's one.
How about number one?
What does that say?
Does not tell the truth on the loan application.
That's a good one.
Ah, that's a good one.
That one is frowned upon.
Well, first of all, it's like it's gonna get you eventually, right?
It
Can I
definitely
interrupt for a second?
Okay.
I was Googling that same thought the other day.
You Googled?
In the blog, it says more often than not, than if you commit fraud, the loan's not going to go through. What do you mean more often?
Well, I was stopping
He was so
short.
serious.
fraud.
Yeah, but then you had to
Stopping-
click on the word fraud in terms
Right,
of
right,
what,
right.
what does
Okay.
that mean?
What does
I
that
just thought that was so
constitute?
funny. More often than not, fraud is.
I was
yeah.
going to stop short of the word fraud
Yeah,
because
okay.
it depends on what they lie
But
about.
in this day and age, how does anyone think you can get away
I
with
know.
it?
I know.
There's a record of everything. I got in my car after I pumped gas today, and without touching the thing, I got in my car and it goes, "You have 28 minutes to get to Two Guys Cigar Shop."
No.
Yeah, and I didn't program anything in.
Really?
My phone knows that on Tuesdays I come here, and when I got in my car on my phone,
You're kidding.
No,
No, that's great,
Yeah.
though. That's
Wow.
a good sign.
You think?
Yeah. Yeah. But no, so like we had, it wasn't one of John's clients, and we may have talked about it before, but the day before the closing, it got completely derailed because the buyer had a prior foreclosure.
That he didn't disclose.
Right.
That they didn't disclose. And
Right. And the problem with this one is, and I know, John, after a couple of years, they can go away somewhat. But sometimes foreclosures aren't accurately recorded.
Correct.
So they did the
lot of
foreclosure
times.
right in 2010. 2017, they finally got around to putting that foreclosure deed on record.
So
had
really,
that.
it started ticking in 2017.
When it's recorded, absolutely.
Right.
So that's one thing.
I did call Johnny about that because usually he has a solution to everything.
Yeah,
I go,
not
what
a
do you think
problem.
about this? No, he goes,
Screwed.
"You're screwed."
No, the solution was wait a couple years.
Yeah,
Wait a
that's-
couple-
yeah.
What is it? Not no, but not now?
Just
Not
not yet.
now.
Okay,
Not
not
yet.
yet. Okay.
So,
All right.
so along that line, what happens is I had someone similar to that where he knew it was going to be foreclosed on. He hadn't made payments for about a year, and he just moved out. And I said, "Did your house get foreclosed?" He goes, "I don't know. I moved out." He had no idea.
Plausible
Right.
deniability.
Yeah.
Right,
Hey, I
right.
don't know what
You know,
they did
right.
with it.
No one foreclosed on me. I moved out before they could foreclose.
Which is a false sense of thought process,
You know,
right?
You
That's
can't
not-
fire me. I quit.
Exactly.
Well, it's a good point. Some of these people think they can throw the keys on the counter and they're done with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And that there's no ramifications.
There's no
from that.
ramifications.
Right.
None.
No.
No one's called
No
me.
one.
It must be okay.
I can't find them.
We've heard of people staying in their foreclosed property for 5-6 years.
Or
right?
more.
Or more.
One of my friends had a
Right.
neighbor that stayed for 8 years.
Right.
How do you do that?
She put all new hardwood floors in, put an addition on, put a pool
After
in
it
the
was
back.
foreclosed?
Yeah. And she said,
now
no,
that
no.
makes no sense.
No,
I
she
know.
said, no, the bank told me I could have it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
No, the
she
bank
doesn't-
said they're going to give it to you. We're going to give it to you, all right?
Then that-
Wink, wink. You
Wait,
can
my
have
neighbor
it.
kept saying, no,
Don't
she
worry, you
owns
just-
it. And I
Wait
go,
a second.
She doesn't.
She thought that the bank, by foreclosing, said you can have the house.
Yeah, they foreclosed on it, and she literally stayed in the house and put additions on. And when they went to evict her after 8
She
years,
called. She was annoyed.
she said, I'm getting ready to have a baby. I can't
Right.
leave now.
She called us. What do we do? You've been foreclosed on 8 years ago.
She goes,
And-
I just put an addition on all new hardwood floors.
On a foreclosed house.
yes, she doesn't own.
How do people get through life? How? I guess if you're just ignorant, you
Her
can
phone didn't tell her that she needed to move out.
Right.
Within 28 minutes.
Tony,
my God.
there was no compass.
I guess not. I guess if you just go through life blissfully
but she
ignorant,
was seriously
you can get by.
annoyed
She believed-
that she had to move out in a week.
Yeah.
That she was just so shocked
No, and
by
then
that.
the sheriff came and moved, kicked her out.
Yeah.
And do not come back to this property. And after the sheriff left, she went right back to the house. And finally, the bank has somebody local that goes and checks on their foreclosed
Right,
properties.
yeah.
And they went and they changed all the locks. And she was indignant. Like she was like, "They changed all the locks on me. Who can I call? No
A
one.
locksmith. I don't know.
Johnny, do you have, what is it, Data Verify or something like that? Do you ever hear that? Where
Yeah.
they actually verify every state if you've ever owned property itself?
Yeah. Some of them are starting to show up in other countries, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know what happens is, like on the credit report, sometimes, let's say you live in Canada for a little bit and you go to apply for a credit card and you put that address.
Right.
And you run a credit. Now it's going to show up
Right.
on the report that you lived someplace in Canada. Then
Canada.
they're going to want to know about that.
Everything in
Yeah,
Canada.
yeah.
Yep.
Different countries or what have you. I had one in Greece. He just happened to mention, I own this property in Greece. If he just didn't say anything, no one would ever know.
Right.
But in this case,
Now, you
then
wouldn't have said that to him because that's coaching your client, right?
assistant coaching.
Assistant. Minor league.
Yeah.
All right,
All right, so
what
we
are the
made it
worst?
through number one.
We made it through one. What's the worst ones you've seen? So they don't disclose information to you, I would imagine.
Well, the worst I've seen,
They don't
but I stopped it up front,
Yep.
was I pulled this guy's credit report, and his credit was awful. Everything. And I told him, I said, there's no way I can do it. I mean, your credit's awful. He goes, oh, try this Social Security number.
Sorry.
That one ought to work.
Yeah. He goes, yeah, no, he was serious, too, because this one works every time.
Yeah.
I gave you the wrong one.
Did you say Google someone else?
Yeah.
He's laughing as much as the time we talked about the staycations.
Yeah, that's
Look at him.
hysterical. Try this Social Security number. All right.
You know, I'm still getting emails on staycations. You know that.
Really?
And now I'm starting to get emails from people saying, I've had a bad week. I got to go to Rite Aid.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, so it's one of our brokers, wrote to us and said, "Wow, you guys." I think I was taking it that we had done a good job because we got it closed
Yep.
and on record and
Yep.
dispersed in like what,
An hour and a half.
less than an hour and a half.
Right.
Hour and 21 minutes and
Right.
42 seconds. But
Right.
who's counting? And they're like, "Wow, maybe we should go to Rite Aid too." If for anyone that doesn't know, is we go to Rite Aid and get alcohol,
Get liquor.
and things
Sure.
get rough.
So I want to say, in terms of the buyer mistakes, we all laugh at it. Right?
I'm laughing at it.
But a lot of people, you got to think, sometimes the buyers don't even know they're making a mistake. And I'll give you an example.
Yep.
Like, you're a first-time home buyer, and the last major purchase you had was buying a car. So let's talk about that experience, the financing of it. After all the haggling is done, right, and they
Yep.
agree on a price,
Yep.
this is all they know about financing. They walk into the office, and they ask for your name, social security number. They say, yeah, everything looks great. How much you make? All right, good. All right, it's 10 o'clock now. We'll wash your car at 1, and you can drive out at 2 o'clock.
Perfect.
They're like, that's all they know. Now,
That's it.
So when they sit with me, 9 o'clock, I say, that's great. Sit with Rick Carter at 1 o'clock. You'll close. We'll have the cleaners at your house at 2, and the trucks will be ready at 3, and you'll move in at 5. That's the same experience buying a house.
Exactly.
Right.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit longer.
Yeah.
All right, so managing expectations, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
So that could actually be a reality. Could have before TRID. What takes so long is it's the verification of everything you say that
Yep.
you are
Yep.
and do.
Yep.
So that's the part that takes forever.
Sure.
And then when the underwriter uncovers the foreclosure or the bankruptcy or an alias or another social security number, then things get a little sticky.
Like the wheels fall off the bus
The
real
wheels
fast.
fall off the bus. And
My
then
job is to be the part of the pit crew.
Yeah.
Put everything back on.
Yeah.
Do people get indignant when you call them on it?
Some people go, you treat me like a criminal.
Right.
I'm like, come on. No, they just want.
I'm giving you a house. That's a big leap.
We're treating you worse.
I say, look, I trust everybody, but then I verify.
Yeah.
And
I'm amazed you think that's what's slowing down the bank process, that now they're starting to verify things,
it's
right?
the verification. No, because before TRID in California, I know my counterparts that, like on a refinance, they would do the application in the morning and they would close in the afternoon. Because they had everything online, all the records. And then they have this escrow thing that takes a little bit longer. But they would literally close, application and close all on the same day.
So you're still checking credit reports right up to the end. You're checking.
What is that rule that you can check somebody's
The refresh?
Check their income verification up to 2 weeks after the closing? Or what is that? I've heard that before.
Maybe that's just an audit of some sort. We close, the money's in the bank, we're done.
You're
You're done?
Yeah.
You
All right.
walk away. You're
Yeah.
on your
But you can. We have them sign the 4506 at closing.
Yep, I think you have up to like 60 days to. But the old days was they would, when someone signed a 4506, that means we get the tax records just to make sure that the taxes you file with the IRS are the same you shared with the bank.
Right. How do they ever differentiate?
Sure.
Wow, they can be tough on the buyer.
Boy,
So you can have those the same?
boy, talk about nitpicking.
Yeah. So
Did you guys say which
Hey,
tax
listen,
returns do you want?
I've had that too.
People have gone to jail for
Yeah.
changing tax returns back in the late 80s.
Really?
ComFed.
To buy a house?
Yep.
Yeah, like they
Specifically?
So you can qualify.
not necessarily the
When we
buy.
started-
Like the
like the loan
fly-by-night.
officers and the real
Yeah,
estate
when we
agents.
started in the business, all the originators were dropping like flies because they were getting false W-9s and tax returns to the lender.
And a lot of them went to jail.
Yep.
It was a big, huge scam.
Yep.
Scandal. You should look it up. It's
Scandal?
It was. Yeah.
I know a loan officer that he'd have a typewriter. Remember those?
Typewriter.
And he'd have blank W-2s and look at the guy saying, all right, you're a plumber and out of Quincy, okay. And how much did you make in 1995? Oh, 100,000? Good for you.
But that's before computers and all of this, right? So it must have been easier to get away with it.
Yeah, the smart ones would make sure they got a hold of an accountant to make sure that the numbers lined up, like how much Social Security took out. Because sometimes people would mess up. I'm sorry, you guys, someone watching me? No, let's say you.
Like 10,000 viewers, but that's
Why is everybody looking at me?
Is this being taped?
This is third-hand knowledge too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, so where people would get tripped up, the people that would make up this stuff is like the numbers wouldn't line up. They like their Social Security, what they were taking out for, all that, the taxes and all that. The numbers, the rates were way off. So then the smart ones that learned from that, they would know to the penny exactly what it was. So they got better and better. They learned on other people's mistakes.
Attorneys were getting disbarred because they were saying it's an 80% loan, so they were bringing 20% cash in.
Yep.
But then the very next document afterwards would be a second mortgage from the seller to the buyer.
For the 20%.
For the 20% that the attorney was putting, the closing attorney was putting on. So,
there was a bunch of big scams.
Yeah.
But everything's pretty.
But that's what our show's all about, right?
Yes, if you didn't know any of this stuff, now you do. That's what we're here to coach
the
people.
Criminals, right?
Actually,
right.
I think I got something right here along with
On
Rick
what?
just said.
What number?
95?
98.
No,
I was going to go 98. What number?
Okay, the closing agent. Okay, read read number 104 and then 105. They go hand in hand.
The closing agent does not bend the rules on small problems.
That's what could go wrong.
Right.
Now look at 105.
The sheriff comes and escorts the closing agent from his office on the day of closing for bending the rules on those small problems.
There you go.
Closing.
Sure.
We've heard of some closing attorneys not paying off the old mortgages and just making the monthly mortgage payments.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wait, what is that one?
So say we have 10 refinances in a day.
Yeah.
So we get $200,000 in from the bank to pay off their old mortgage.
Right.
So instead, this guy would just not pay off the old mortgage. He'd
make a payment.
So no one would be the wise.
So it looked like that was still
right. So no one was going to call.
But we have the money.
But you
in
have
the
money,
account.
right. So that's like a Ponzi scheme.
Yes,
absolutely.
Exactly.
And then at some point, the closing agent probably would say, "I'm going to pay it back. I'm going to pay it back." But
and then
if you're
it gets
stealing,
too big, sure.
As in most Ponzi schemes,
I got away with it this far. Why wouldn't I keep going?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, Johnny, how many more you got? I can rattle off a few. Changing your employment, applying for other loans.
No, he says that's not a problem.
I know.
Wait.
He says that's not a problem.
Let's
you
not
know
rip,
that.
You just blew right through that. I caught that.
Let's not misrepresent what John is trying to say.
All right, so you have something for that. So a lot of these you have an answer for. Not an answer. That almost sounds like we're. But
advice.
Advice. So I'll rip through these, and you probably have advice for these. But
okay, you can rip before you rip through all those. Advice is call me first before you do all those things.
Right.
Okay.
So we can plan accordingly.
So that's kind of your motto. Like if I want to go buy furniture and I'm buying my house on July 30th, you say call me.
Yeah, you have to live your life. Sometimes someone has a car that you have to.
Or in some cases, somebody else's life.
Or someone else's life. But I want to know about it.
If you got another Social Security number, sure.
Just one?
Yeah.
Other? So, if someone, let's say someone's has to buy another car. Or let's say someone comes to me and they're going to close in 3 months, but they have 1 month left on their car lease. They're going to either buy another car or get another lease. That's not a problem.
It just
I just need to know.
things.
Yeah, I want to know what the new monthly payments are going to be so we can recalculate it and what have you.
So I heard the rates are going up a little bit.
Past tense.
They went up.
They went up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that. I guess we shouldn't quote rates here.
No,
but
yeah, we shouldn't do that. But
No.
let's talk in
It
general.
went up a quarter of a percent, right?
Let's
Yeah,
talk generally. What's that
yeah, it
going to
did.
do to the market?
So, like on a 0.5%, you're probably like $150 a month on a $400,000 loan.
Okay.
So some people think that's a showstopper. Others say no problem. I'm going to beat up the cable company.
Now is the It
Right.
now
Or don't
is-
go out to eat.
Right.
this month.
Right.
Yeah, that does never work.
Never.
Never works. We always go out to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to do the dishes
Me too.
anymore. Yeah, no, I'm done. But do they put the rates up to slow the market down, or is it just a money-making scheme?
Oh no, that's the market just working.
They think the
That's what
economy's
it is.
doing
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
and they're able to
No.
raise the
Yeah.
rates a little bit. So, I don't know. I think we got a
Exactly.
lot of
Hey,
information
you
out
guys
today.
are doing great. How about we take a little bit more money from you?
Let's derail this whole thing
Hey.
since you're doing so well.
Hey, remember that $150 we let you have? Can't have it anymore.
I remember back in the 80s, instead of personal loans, they used to have what they call vacation loans.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yes.
You're doing great. We're going to give you a vacation loan.
What is that? To go on vacation?
Yes.
A loan to go on vacation?
Yes.
It was kind of like a home equity loan,
Yeah.
but they didn't call them home
They called
equity.
it, I remember it was like, they called it a vacation loan. They're like, we're going to lend you money. I want to borrow money. No, you can't. I'm going to go on vacation. Why didn't you say so?
The good old days.
As
The good
long
old
as it's
days.
for a good reason.
You'll come back all recharged.
Right.
What do you think? Do we get it through anything or what?
I'm exhausted.
That was a
We
great
got to
show.
number 1 and
We
then
got-
104 and 105.
What's the last? We did 105, right?
105 was the one where the
Yeah.
sheriff comes and takes away the closing
You know,
attorney.
Let me sum this whole show up.
Yeah.
Don't be a dick.
All right.
And that's from George Lucas. Good job.
That was
All right.
awesome,
All right,
Tony.
Cool KJ, Paralegal
All right.
Extraordinaire, the Iceman, thank you for coming on. And we might have to have you back. Is that fair enough?
Sure.
To get
And
through
we'll
the,
do
to get the other 102. If I'm doing my math right?
2 to 103. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Have a great week. Thanks for joining us here at the Studio 21 Podcast
All right.
Cafe.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.